We have May minutes.
You don't like me because I'm smart. I should be stupid. People love me.
Yeah, we have May meeting
True,
minutes,
though.
June, I don't know where June is.
So is
Yeah.
that the same,
It's similar to that. Let me bring up May.
Mama made me go to school.
I'll make a note to look at the leaderships for June also.
So,
Make a note to look up the leadership thing too. If there's no meetings, I'll make
yeah, I
sure.
was trying to listen to the tape if we voted on May. I don't think we did. So I'm gonna,
Jeremy, I had sent you my notes. Did you get them?
yeah, I said earlier, I don't remember if they were leadership or full board or executive board.
No, those were leadership notes.
As long as that's the board health.
So then we'll put that together and publish that.
Okay, and I'll do the executive for June.
I'm not.
What's why I do it? Oh.
So,
Veronica, I haven't done
All right, it is,
the 26th, yeah.
we have the,
How dare you, Tony?
do we have the signing sheet, so we have an
You
agenda?
have to post.
We
it.
have a forum?
Yeah.
that's a good question. Do we have a
This
quorum?
is executive for it.
The
It's
signature sheet
going
going
around.
around? Go, can I have that? So let's go through names. Well, yeah, hey, left.
Yeah, he'll be back.
He'll
He
be back.
just went to
He
pray.
just went to
Okay.
this, yeah.
So Hazel's
I
online,
see.
Bernadette's online, Sandy's online,
Yay.
Ken's online. Do we have Lisa or John Johnson?
John is on.
John is on.
Hey, Jeremy, I'm on.
Lisa,
Lisa,
she's on.
Lisa's on, she's right there.
Lisa, April. Okay, Lisa, we got April and Rabbi. No?
I don't see.
Doesn't matter, we have a quorum. So if you're a member of the public, if you don't mind signing in, just for, that we head count at the least.
The only two we need
Okay.
are Larry and Mr. Cass, that's it.
Jer, I don't see the cameras.
All right, we have a quorum at 7:15. We will begin the leadership meeting. Good evening, everyone. Review of the minutes, if we don't have the minutes, there was a snafu with the minutes, hopefully.
Oh, we have May meeting minutes. We have May meeting minutes. You want me to bring it up here? Because I didn't print it. For this good. Nobody online has it, so
Either way, you can't vote on it because it's 24 hours.
it's
so-
been published it's been published more than a month ago.
Veronica, are you taking minutes for this meeting too?
Yes, I am.
Okay,
So-
sweetheart. I got it next month.
Okay.
Somebody has
We're
a
gonna get,
board.
we're gonna get the raise.
Hazel and I tag team.
Okay, the first,
Hold on, somebody's Zoom bombing us right now.
The minutes for the leadership are not
Hold on.
online though.
What time did we officially start this meeting?
7:15.
Okay, so, yeah, what time did we start? 7:15?
7:15.
We have a quorum, the leadership committee of 311, it's October 20th, 2022. What's on the agenda now?
The first item on the agenda is the Bronx Park ramp, Botanical Gardens.
Hold on, do you want to review these minutes? Because they were published, like I said, more than a month ago. 9/14 they were published.
Not till next month.
No, at that point, it's done. There's no sense. in-
Well, it's still draft form. I would like to take the draft
We need to
form.
vote on them in order for them to be published officially.
To the agenda, so wait till next month.
We're gonna have to see them from here. I can't see it unless you
Yeah.
read it out.
Why don't we just,
I mean, I can print it right now, it's up to you.
why don't we just table it and we'll vote on both of them next month?
All right,
Let's do that now.
That makes no sense.
The first. Take care of that cough. The first item on the agenda is the Bronx Park East, New York Botanical Garden ramp. Jeremy, you want to give us some info on that?
so Lisa, you want to tell us about, you did not have a quorum at your last meeting, right? Lisa's in?
Right.
Lisa's up?
Yep, I'm here. Sorry, just multitasking right now. Yes, we didn't have a quorum. We did receive a presentation from the Parks Department on the ramp construction they want to do. Basically, they need to fix that ramp that goes from Waring Avenue and Bronx Park East over to the Botanical Gardens because it's not ADA compliant. So they're building a new path. And the current pathway, they're going to add steps to it. and alongside the ADA compliant one. So everyone should have received the presentation. And I guess the procedure would be, and Jeremy, correct me if I'm wrong, the procedure would be for us to vote on it here and then send it to full board.
Yeah, we
Right.
brought up the agenda because we didn't.
Yeah, if you bring up a motion, we'll vote on it, discuss it and vote on it.
Okay.
Before you vote on
So motion to approve the proposal for the design for the Bronx from Parks Committee for the Bronx Botanical Garden ramp.
Do I have a second?
I second it.
You have a couple of seconds.
Okay.
Joe,
Anyone opposed?
Discussion. Is there any
Yeah,
discussion?
Discussion, okay.
My only concern is, I'm getting very tired how these agencies come at the last minute, and on the agenda, again, this manager's fault. He put on the agenda just that it was going to be presentation, didn't say it was going to be a motion to vote on it, so no, there was only a small turnout, not knowing that this was going to be a final draft, because on the draft that Parks put was preliminary. I'm getting tired of these agencies just running through like that. We don't have enough time. We have to make sure we hold these agencies to the fire, because what they did with Loretta Park, when we did Pelham Parkway Plaza, every time the boards votes on the project, it never turns out well. We didn't have enough public input because not only was it not a quorum, I think there was less than 3 people in attendance at that meeting, because on the agenda, it didn't put that they will vote on this proposal. I think I would suggest you table this for next month Parks meeting when you do have a quorum, and it put on the agenda, there'll be a motion to vote on this so the public can have more input on this proposal.
Your objection is noted, but I don't want to table that only because they need that done.
But that's their fault for not coming on time.
So,
No, that's not a good
We're not
idea.
gonna
to
let the
table.
Botanical Garden suffer because we didn't do something on time.
but also, we can't put a motion on the committee agenda if we hadn't even heard the project yet. I mean, this isn't, how does that work? It
No,
doesn't
they
make
said
sense.
they came to you to vote on it. That's what they said at the Parks meeting, that they,
All right,
so why didn't you put that the Parks will be voted on this proposal?
I don't, I still understand.
Parks
It makes
Department,
sense.
they do this every year. Every time they have a project, they bring it forward to the community board,
Mhm.
Parks Committee to vote on it.
Yeah.
On the agenda, you just put presentation and put a motion to vote on it or not.
Because maybe we don't want to vote on it. We don't have to vote.
But the fact is, so why are you voting on it now then?
I put it on the agenda. The committee doesn't have to vote. You can withdraw the motion. You don't have to vote on it.
Because
But
if people knew.
I'm under the impression that Lisa, that you probably want to vote
she
on it.
wants to vote, she made a motion, it was seconded by Joe. We're discussing it now.
And we're not in the gallery yet,
Our
so,
objection,
Specify when you want to vote on something, it should be.
well, we're not in the gallery.
your objection,
Happening at the Bronxdale Road Diner, he doesn't put on the
You're right.
agenda,
Your
it's happening. And it puts us as a disadvantage.
your objection is noted. And
Thank you.
hopefully we'll make those
Okay,
corrections.
as long as it's noted, I'm fine.
Okay,
Thank you.
any other discussion?
No, it's in dire need. Let's face it, people can't walk up the steps. They can't walk up the ramp. Seniors can't walk up the ramp. What's good is having an entrance that anybody over 30 years old cannot use. And for children, I didn't get the particulars. Are we still keeping, we're just gonna have straight stairs? I mean, I could find out tomorrow, but
It's
think it's good.
it's
It's
gonna
gonna
be,
be
they're
great.
building a ramp, yeah, they're building a new path alongside the current one. So the current one is gonna stay, and they're building a new one that's gonna be ADA compliant. The original one, they have to bring it up to code, so they're gonna add steps, but it's not gonna be like straight steps. They're gonna be like kind of those longer steps. It's gonna be, I think, 2 steps and then what do they call it, a platform, 2 steps and a platform, 2 steps and a platform. So there'll be 2 ways to get
Much better.
to the same, there'll be
Much
2
better.
ways to get to the same entrance.
Thank you, Daisy.
Yeah.
Any other discussion?
Is the
Yeah.
city funding it or Botanical Gardens?
Sitting,
City,
The city.
Price?
3 million.
I don't know. Daisy, do we have a price?
3 million.
It's Lisa.
Councilman Felicia,
It might be on the proposal. I don't remember.
I could bring it in time.
I got some cousins that could do it for 100,000.
Roxanne?
Yeah,
Roxanne?
I'd like to just speak to this, if I might, from the Bronx Park East Community Association. We asked the Parks Department at the Housing Committee meeting if they would do a presentation to us at our meeting, and they said yes, and we had it last night. We put flyers throughout the entire neighborhood. We emailed our whole membership list twice about the meeting, so the word really got out. They did an excellent presentation and answered a lot of questions, went into even more detail than they did at the Housing Committee meeting. And we decided, the board of BPECA decided to submit a letter of support for the preliminary design. They also explained why the design isn't final, that at this stage it's a preliminary design and there are many details that get worked out later. That's why the design phase takes an entire year. And I think that the budget amount is
Between
somewhere
3
between
million
3 and 4 million. But that's already been approved by the city council, is my understanding.
Thank you.
It's city money.
Yeah, and,
That's our money.
Online,
Roxanne online found between 3 and 5 million.
and also fully
That's it.
funded it entirely.
And the reception from the rest of the community, just heard about it, didn't attend the meeting, is exactly what Joe Thompson said, that people are just thrilled that there's going to be an easier, more accessible entrance. And we discussed a lot about
spending $3
the,
million for a ramp.
it's more than a ramp. It requires the removal of a lot of trees. They have a diagram of trees that are diseased that will be taken out. I think there are 2 trees that had to be removed because of the design, not the condition of the tree. And then they plant new trees, and there's landscaping that goes into it. They explained at the meeting how much goes into it. I can see why it costs
Typical residential
nearly
ramp.
as much as it costs to renovate the playground and basketball court.
Thank you. Yeah, I think we pretty much have a pretty good idea that you were in favor. Is
It
there-
has to go to 3 other agencies for design, construction, and other means. And there are several trees, several very healthy, large trees that are going to be removed as
There
well
were
as
2 or 3.
supposedly design. And I asked about the caliper. of
Robert
the
was at the
tree.
same meeting
Guys,
that,
excuse me, address the
Can I
chair.
talk, Diana?
Just,
Do not talk to each other.
Yeah, don't cross talk on virtual.
All right, well,
things.
I have the floor, please.
Bob,
Okay.
are you objecting to the project?
No, I'm saying that the board should
Okay.
be knowledgeable about the caliper of trees they're replacing. They're taking away because they have to replace it with the
Okay.
existing number of the caliper of
Thank you.
trees. So you
Bob,
have to
but
have trees elsewhere.
I'm sure Parks Department's on, the Parks Committee's on top of it.
That's a
Is there any other
code.
Joan
discussion?
Marie had her hand up on the thing.
Who?
Joan Marie?
Joan Marie?
Hi, I don't want to cut in about this whole plan, as this may be important. I know that on the agenda, we're not discussing Bronxdale Rose Eye, and I hate to bring it up, but I was just wondering, I'm kind of a little confused. When you guys come up with this agenda, who is voting on talking about certain things? Because we've been basically handing out flyers, and we had Channel 12 News out, and we did a whole lot about this Bronxdale Rose Eye, and I feel like it's not being addressed. And it's a situation, I'm going to tell you why, because 2 kids got hit by a car and 1 woman died. So why ain't this on the agenda? I mean, I don't want to stay on if we can't discuss this, but
Sorry, we're on Parks. That'll be under new business, please.
well,
Let's get this part done, or we'll be here till tomorrow.
okay.
We're on board agenda.
I just want to get on this I just want to vote on this motion.
Okay, so
Anyone else?
tomorrow you're going to have another meeting? I'm sorry, I'm going to get off then, because I
No,
mean,
No, we can discuss it later.
Later.
Later at this meeting.
Let's get
Okay.
let's get this motion taken
okay,
care of.
that's fine. Go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead. Proceed.
The garden has wanted to do this for years. It's
Okay,
the
I
Parks
think we got
Department.
the idea. I think there's,
Give her.
I think
Yeah.
the discussion's taken
We
care
got
of.
They have come to us before.
Is there anybody opposed to this motion? Anybody abstaining from this motion? All right, the motion carries unanimously.
So it's motion to recommend approval of their ramp.
All right. The second one, Jeremy, Rhinelander Avenue, one-way street conversion study.
Wait, I'm sorry. Al, I just have a quick question. So does that mean that we vote on it again at the full board, or is this the final
Yes.
vote?
Yes, you have to
Full
vote
board.
on it full board.
Okay, that's all. Thank
But
you.
the recommendation, if the recommendations comes out of your committee and leadership, more than likely it'll pass.
Okay, Sounds good. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I mean,
Rhinelander Avenue, Jeremy?
How do I get the people?
excuse me, please mute yourself if you're online. So Rhineland Avenue, one-way study, we had a public hearing about this. We had a study by DOT. They said it's feasible to convert a very, very, very small section of Rhinelander Avenue into a one-way street. This is west of White Plains Road, between White Plains Road and what's the
Unionport Road.
Unionport. So here's the email we got from DOT, which I sent out this past summer. I don't know if you can see that. Yeah, you can. I don't know if you can see this.
No thanks.
Yeah. I
No,
have
thank
some-
you.
Can you please mute yourself?
No, she's on the phone.
On the phone. Rhinelander between where, Jeremy?
So let me share this.
White Plains and Unionport.
So we got an email from DOT in August. This is their explanation. We asked if there's any further data, because some people wanted more information than this. They said this is it. So they looked at crash history. I mean, everybody was sent this back in the summer. At least he was on a public distribution list. It was posted on the agenda more than 24 hours in advance. So I don't know if everybody can see that. The idea is to make it a westbound only versus a two-way.
What committee did that go before?
Transportation committee.
It didn't though.
What was
Yeah,
there?
it was, Chris, am I wrong? You go to the transportation committee meetings, this is.
Yes, I went to the transportation committee.
Yes, as you can see, the email was sent after many times I requested for them to send us the studies of everything that, was input when it came to the decision. And this is the sum of whatever they decided to send me.
But they're just basically waiting for what our or what we think.
Now, we ready? Everybody read that?
You have a question? Yeah, good.
I need a motion to convert the street to one-way.
Well, you don't need one, you're making one?
I'm making a motion. We convert the street to one-way.
I need
I
very,
second.
Bernadette seconds.
So discussion, I'd like to be involved in the
Any
discussion.
discussion?
So, just a little bit of history. In 2017, the mayor held a town hall with, back then, Councilman Richie Torres. I think Bernadette, you were at that, it was at a school on the other side of the zoo.
So from.
We went to that meeting and I went to the mayor, the list of items that DOT needs to look at. And I was complaining about DOT and I said, DOT is very slow. DOT. He snatched the microphone from my hand. They wanted to shut me up because they've had enough. And I was just very frustrated and I was very polite. I still have the video of it, me expressing my disappointment in DOT. So he called the commissioner up, Commissioner Navarro back then, and he said, come up. He said, you see this gentleman? I want you to go and see what his issues are. And he gave the commissioner the microphone. Commissioner said, I'll send someone to, and the mayor snatched the microphone from his hand. And he said, no, I didn't ask you to send someone else. I'm asking you to go to him. So we scheduled a walkthrough. It was about an hour and a half. We walked through Van Ness, Morris Park, the whole area, and I pointed some things out, from potholes to standing water issues to sidewalks that doesn't even have any cement. It feels like you're walking in a third world country, which they ended up fixing, especially by that lot on Hunt Avenue. When I asked Jeremy to find out who the owner is of that property, standing water, there issues there, so many issues that I had. It got to the point where I sent them, I don't know, maybe close to 30 items. Some of the items had ABC in it. That's how extensive these items were. Bottom line is, during the walkthrough, I I was standing on the corner with the commissioner and I said, look at that street. You see how it's tough. Every single street that's a one-way, including, let's say, Paulden or Colden, Paulden, all these streets are 30 feet wide and they're one way. That street is 30 feet wide and it's two-way. It's the only one. Give me another street that's 30 feet wide and it's both ways. So he said, okay, if we do no stand-in signs on one side, you're gonna lose parking. And I said, I agree. Parking is very hard to find in this area, but let's discuss other issues. So the businesses, the restaurant, a couple of other business owners came up to me and they asked me, hey, what can we do? And that's where the recommendation came in to request the one-way street. So I just wanted to give everybody the history that it started back in 2017. And it's an ongoing issue until this day. Even last Friday, I was in the street trying to manage traffic. It got so crazy. I was begging people not to move their cars. So no one was double parked. It's just, you couldn't get two cars to pass each other. That's how bad it was. I begged this guy, please, I need you to wait here so I can go bring the other cars to tell them to come down. I walk halfway through the street and he starts driving. It was so annoying and I begged him. And I begged the other car on Victor Avenue. No matter how much you try, it's very hard to manage. I remember having a discussion with Bernadette, the USPS truck parked there to drop off mail. I was behind him for 15 minutes. I don't know where he disappeared. He went into one of the buildings. That street was closed for 15 minutes. So
I have to agree with Yahe. I travel that street constantly and I have to wait behind a parked car when another car is coming up and I don't have an SUV.
if there's more than two cars waiting for the light to go eastbound, that street is closed.
Just parking on both sides?
Parking on both sides. So for example,
You
someone,
can make it one way,
Constantly.
parking on
Right.
both sides.
Right.
yeah, and leave the
Yeah,
parking
but
on both sides, that's fine.
Absolutely needs to be one way under any circumstances.
Right.
So this is how simple it is. Anyone can go check it out. If there's more than two vehicles waiting for the light to go eastbound on Rhinelander Avenue, that street is closed. They gotta wait for the light
Yes.
to change before they can make the right.
Right.
It's just,
I've spoken to a resident who's lived on Amethyst since 1978, and they agree. It makes sense. Make it one way.
All right, is there any other discussion? Anyone else?
Public. Well, my issue with this is that when the rabbi voted, it was to vote on the study, and he did make a promise at the full board meeting that once they got the study, transportation committee meeting was going to review the study and make a decision on that, and that was never done. I think, again, we're not doing the process. Why does the process not apply to everybody, whether they're on the board or not? I'm not going to express my opinion on this one-way conversion. I'm expressing my opinion on the process. The rabbi did alleviate a lot of people's concern because there was, when we had the public hearing and there was data did not support this one-way conversion, he said, this is just for a study. When we get the study done, we get the data, which Chris put out emails dated August. So Transit Committee never held that meeting because they were on hiatus. And last month's meeting, they didn't hold a meeting this month. And September meeting they held, it was regarding the two presentations done by DOT. This was never discussed. So why can we go by the process and have Transportation Committee review the data and make a formal recommendation so it doesn't look like there's any conflict of interest?
Jeremy, can I interrupt at this moment? Can you read the email from Keith Kalb that we all received?
I mean, I just
Chris
shared
read
it.
I discussed about the data, that there was no study, that it was their on-site
Jeremy.
field ops.
So we should fix the hard copies of this.
The date of the email was August.
And we asked them if there's anything else they could provide us with in terms of data, and they said no. I asked again most recently.
I also asked.
So I don't know if there's really to discuss and debate. I mean, just because the rabbi didn't put this on his agenda,
Any other?
so they didn't say it was feasible. I just want to correct what you said. They said it's appropriate in order to reduce, what does it say? I don't even know what that word means.
where is it? Which part?
The third sentence, third line.
Third bullet point?
No, the third line, the last paragraph, third line.
Bottom?
Third line,
As
yes.
a result,
Propensity?
DOT recommends converting.
Yeah,
You can see that in there?
so they're not
So
saying,
it recommends it and it asks for CB11 support.
yeah, correct. It's there, one thing is feasible. Yes, we can do it if you want, but now they're basically recommending it. They're saying it's appropriate.
In the first email, they said it was feasible but not necessary, and now in this latest email, they're saying we recommend, so they changed their recommendation. But initially, the first email they sent, before we asked for the data, was they said it was feasible but not necessary. And then when I continue to say, well, where's the data? That's when the rabbi said, we get the data before we vote on this at Transportation Committee. And now you heard this August email, the data was not provided, but still, I would think it should be discussed by Transportation Committee, so there won't be a conflict of interest, so it's been seen that at least public, there's some transparency and public input on this.
We should
All right,
follow.
so I think we.
Sorry.
Any other discussion?
So yeah, so Chris, we had a public hearing, we
Wait,
had
wait,
public input. Did we
For the
not?
study,
Wait,
for the study.
Guys, stop. Any other discussion? Yes,
Yes, I just want to say I was present for those meetings. I was there when the Rabbi Peets, is that how you say it?
yes.
Promised that. And in order to see, there's an issue of process and fairness. And if somebody heading the committee promises to do something and they promise that to the public, if you want to have credibility as a board, you should keep your word. It can't be sometimes you follow the process, but then other times you don't. There needs to be transparency. There needs to be order. Rules need to be followed all the time. It's not a 2 or 3 or 4 tier system.
Thank you. Noted. Any other discussion? Any abstention?
I just would like to make a note. DOT commissioner was asked about data. They said, and I specifically asked because it was brought to my attention that everybody wanted to study in the data. They said they did on-site observations. That's all. The DOT commissioner does not have specific data that we are asking for. So where do we go from here? Nobody's saying that we don't want the data, but if the agency does not give it to us, then what do we do at this point?
Well, there's a motion on the floor, right?
Yeah, Al, at times, even I work with the agency, at times they do on-site observations. They send experts out, engineers, traffic people, and they can, from just looking at it, like Orhe did. It's not Yahe, sorry.
He's been called worse.
They base it on their experience and say, based on what we're seeing and just studying the area, you probably do need to convert it and to make a recommendation to convert, so that they can do an on-site observation based on their own experience.
But those are
I do that
recorded,
all the
so
time.
the observations should be recorded. Any study is recorded.
No,
not
they-
their-
it's documented.
It's their task, it's not their findings.
Thank you. Let's not get into the discussion. All right, anybody else? Any other comments? Anyone opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries unanimously. Next, and on the next one, speaking time is only going to be 2 minutes. So if somebody would time this for me, please, because if we get into discussions going all night.
Right, so,
Right,
listen,
attaboy.
so before can I make a statement? Before-
Absolutely.
You set
I
the
know-
rules.
Huh?
I
No,
said
no,
you
I
set the
know
rules.
everyone wants to talk, everyone's got an opportunity, and I know sometimes it runs longer. And sometimes I do use my discretion, because if it's an important topic, I do let them go a little bit over, because the final point needs to be made. But I would like everyone to respect my
Timing.
my timing, and when I say 30 seconds, and then start to try to speed up your talk, because I'm going to stop you at 2 minutes.
Thank you. All right, a motion is made, the Just Home Initiative at Jacoby Medical Center be turned down. So in other words, the motion is that the community board is denying the building and Jacoby Hospital. Can I get a second? I have a second.
Second.
Wait, I got second.
Wait, one minute.
Wait.
Hazel, go ahead.
I'm sorry, where did that motion come from?
I made the motion. It was
Just
seconded
now?
by-
Al, yes.
Yes,
Okay.
That was
I
second.
just wanted to get that clarification.
okay. And there was a tie between Joe and Veronica for
I'm gonna
second.
give Joe the second.
Joe got second.
Thanks.
It's open for discussion. Any discussion?
We're recommending disapproval.
We're sending a letter of objection.
Objections.
Yeah, we're sending a letter of objection to
To
the
HHC.
to the HHC. We have a second. Any discussion?
Based on, we should, in the letter, I should say based on what though? Community, can be.
Based on the fact that the community doesn't want it. I mean, that was made perfectly clear in all the meetings that we had.
No, that is, but again, we want to put this in writing. So let's just make it clear for everybody who's in the meeting. So community, particularly the residents who live in the area next to the project.
Community, not the residents who live in the area. Community.
Majority.
Well, yes, that too, but particularly the residents who live next to 1900 Seminole, whatever the address is. What else?
No, the motion goes as the community is against the proposal.
Yeah.
Not the people from Indian Village or anyplace else, the entire community. If we have people from Allison Avenue are against it also.
No, I understand.
So, okay, so.
There are people that are not against it. Entire community, or do we want to say the majority of the community?
Overwhelming majority.
From what I saw, the majority.
Are we?
Overwhelming
Well,
majority.
I'm sorry, it's a discussion space.
Well, we're clarifying, like Jeremy's brought up a good point. Now, like the DOT commissioner said today, he said we're data driven. They're data driven. So when we say we're objecting to it, we can say transportation. There's no close public transportation
Well,
there. There's
we don't
no
have to
train.
worry. That's not our job. Our
Yeah.
job is to,
But we want to have it in the letter. So can I? To state some
well,
reason.
there's a million reasons we can give.
Let's give some. We don't have to give a million.
Well, you're gonna
We
hear
can
them all.
say space,
You'll hear
space
them
at
all.
Jacoby.
You'll hear them all tonight. You'll hear all the objections tonight and all the reasons tonight.
So
Yeah.
we can note space at Jacoby. Montefiore has a children's hospital. Jacoby doesn't have a children's hospital.
You're putting,
I hospitalized my son, as you know, last Monday night. We waited 9 hours for a room. We were just sitting in a chair because he was admitted. 9 hours is unacceptable. So, we spent 4 nights at Jacoby. They need more room. It's not fair to the other, to the residents that there's no room for them.
HHC is gonna put something there.
We have
Because
other
they-
needs.
because they want the
Community
money.
has other
We
needs.
have other needs and
We
those-
need a
those
senior
are-
center.
Okay.
We need.
But right
a
now,
community
the
center.
motion is gonna be that the community board
A point of,
is, I'm sorry, go ahead.
we have a motion on the floor already, correct?
Yeah.
Now you're chairing, correct?
Objection.
So I'm gonna address it to you. On behalf of Allerton, we requested at the first meeting the numbers. How much does this cost? Did they even present that?
No.
Because it's astronomical what they charge per person. I personally, and I know Joe Thompson, I can't speak for everybody else, we have worked with people, ex-convicts in our community, drug addicts in our community. We know firsthand, you don't put them in the same building together. Unless there's a strong leadership presence in that building, you just don't do it, because it takes one bad day for 4 of them to get together, say I had enough, and then it causes chaos. It is not a good plan. The history of Just Homes came out in in some of the town halls, that they have a poor response to situations in their facilities. So safety is number one for us. The cost, our tax dollars, what they're paying it's up to the community. It's up to their families, their neighbors. You don't consolidate them in a ghetto style building where you just say, you're here, now you're, and then what we're being told is that they're forced out of the neighborhood. Well, now it sounds like a regular homeless shelter where they're forced out at 9 a.m. They go into our community and then they can come back at 5.
These are apartments. They're
These are
leased apartments.
apartments.
They're gonna have a lease.
Well, what one of the representatives said was that they will be forced to go out. So that's more like a shelter. Now, they could clarify that,
Well,
but one of their statements.
That
they
I
said
didn't hear. I did hear that they're critically ill. If they're critically ill, there are no critically ill patients in Rhinebeck at the time. Also, the fact that you're putting 70 former criminals in our community, 70. There's 100. There's gonna be 100
It's 70
units.
Right.
and
It's
20.
somewhere.
Irrelevant, yeah, it's 50 to 100.
All right,
Yeah.
but they're gonna put them in our community. These are criminals that have violent felons. because those are the only ones that are not bailable at this point. So if you're in prison because you committed a violent felon. So if you're a violent felon and pedophiles are being put in a community of 1 and 2 family homes with schools within in the vicinity, it makes no sense. That's just one reason. There are many others. You're putting these people in a facility where there's no place for them to go to shop. Where are they going to shop?
I'm sorry. I have a question real quick.
My time.
Hold on.
There's no place for them to shop. Right, so it makes it, or public transportation, there's the 12B, I believe, on Pelham Parkway that they have to go to. That's a walking distance. Now, for critically ill patients, that's what they're trying to sell us. But what happens is when they get better, they're there forever. That's their apartment. So you have criminals, potential criminals in our apartment. I say that because the recidivism rate is 65%. So if the recidivism rate is 65%, when I'm saying the possibility of them committing a crime is more than 50% of those people, and now they're bringing friends, and if the friend decides to stay over, what are you going to do? Throw them out? No. So, and if they get better, they stay there. So this is a lot of smoke being blown by HHC and the Fortune Society. They want to put something there, and I can see a million other things there that would benefit the community. We said senior housing. We talked about doing something for early childhood where the nurses could drop their students off, their children off in the morning, and then feel safe and know that the children are going to be there when they come home and pick them up on the way home. They talked about a women's shelter. They talked about doing something for the death rate among minority at birth is astronomical. Have something for prenatal for young mothers coming in so that children will be born healthy instead of dying. We have the highest rate of deaths of unborn children in our borough. So these are things that can help the community and help people. Doing what they're doing, what they're proposing is just not feasible.
It just seems like it's profit driven.
It's
So Al, at this point, we're
I'm sorry,
stopping
yes.
and then we're going to go on to.
Yes, we'll go to, okay, now we do it.
Okay, so now I'm going to do the timing for everyone.
Okay,
Too,
yes.
right? This was a discussion, right, Jeremy? This was a discussion, and then now we're going to.
Now we'll be into, I use my
Okay.
discretion to open my mouth a little
All right,
bit
so,
more.
so I'm going to time when, is it open to
anyone
public
else?
now?
Well, can I finish my 2 minutes just to close it?
Well, you have more
I
than,
did it. We were going back and forth.
okay,
So-
so 2 minutes just to close it now, go ahead.
Thank you. I don't even need 2 minutes. It's just the reasons that Allerton is opposing it is lack of information. Just Homes did not provide us an adequate petition saying that it was supported by the community. The cost, one, we didn't have the cost. The history of Just Homes, given some testaments on town halls, and overall safety concerns. That's it. Thank you.
Anyone else?
Yeah, just like to say, I spoke to BP's office and there's been board members who vocally expressed opposition to this project. And from my understanding, it's matter because they basically said in both the rallies and Maestro that they're community board members and they're adamantly opposed to this project and they will make sure City Hall hears the opposition.
I spoke to,
Not just you, it's also the chair. And he said to me, if that's the case, then you will not be eligible to vote on it. Just talk about process. That's my 2 cents, okay? Thank you.
just to let you know, when I spoke as president of Morris Park Association, not about this board.
No, I understand.
And
That's
I asked the borough president if I could do that, and he said yes.
No, and that was the Just
So that's very
Home, at the Jacoby Hospital, but at the Maestro rally, and at the rally,
I never said,
I had the video of
I said-
Yahe saying that I'm the chair, and I'm adamantly opposed to it, and I'll make sure City Hall hears your voices. So that makes kind of disqualifies him from voting on it.
Doesn't.
But you can follow up with the BP's office on that. Thank you.
any other
We'll
discussion?
finish. Thank you.
Yeah, hey, can the public speak?
No, we have one more person in here at the table, and then we'll jump to you.
Okay, thank you.
Okay,
So
no problem.
I just wanted to say I was confused because I didn't know who ran the Just Home meetings. And for me, which I think I'm very much against it, but I was so disappointed with what went on in the first meeting that I attended at Maestro's. You couldn't hear anything. And again, Why are rules not followed? Just as you have a conduct statement here, I'm not sure why in the meeting, the same rules were not followed. If you boo, you yell, you use foul language, you should have been given a warning and then immediately asked to leave. Because what happened is our community, of which I'm a part, was very much tainted. I love Jacoby Hospital. I did my clinical internship there. When COVID broke out, I went back to work in the psych ER. And this neighborhood is so safe, or it was, that when I came out at 11 or 12, I could walk from Jacoby all the way to my home in Van Ness. So I don't want that to change. And I feel for the elderly people and also for the people that have worked hard all their lives to have a home and a nice neighborhood. I think a rising tide lifts all boats. I want Van Ness to be more like Indian Village. But the way those meetings were ran, I didn't go to any more because it was a total waste of
I
time.
think everybody agrees with you.
Now I'm on my time. So you stop me.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
So what I want to say is that also this is a concerted effort by a very progressive city government to fundamentally change the East Bronx. So this community board needs to have the data on homelessness. There needs to be a plan, an idea for that location. We're bringing in the Metro North so that doctors and nurses and people that live in Connecticut and other places can get here easily. Housing could be made for medical students. So something like that would be much better.
Very good, very good, very good, thank you.
Anyone else?
So online?
Yeah, can I just say something?
Sure.
You know, I've chaired a lot of these meetings, both now and in the past when I first joined. When you have issues like this, like shelters, group homes, and this proposal that they have, and I'm not trying to make excuses for anybody, but people come with their emotions to these meetings. They leave logic and everything else at home and they come with their feelings, unfortunately. But you have to understand where they're coming from. They're scared, they're frustrated, they just feel like nobody's listening to them. And then why are you bringing this sort of establishment into my community? So it's really all about feelings. And I'm pretty sure that those people went home and said, oh my God, I should have never got so upset. But it's normal for people to feel that way. Unfortunately, they brought it to the meeting. And as much as me, Al and Jeremy tried to really take control, there was no taking control of what was going on. If we had stopped people from talking, if we had shut the meeting down, I think we would have had a riot on our hands. So, if you haven't chaired one of these meetings, you really don't know how it feels to stand there and try to really control people that are very emotional.
30 seconds.
So we'll do better in the future. We will, because we have to. But I just want everybody to know that it's not about respect. It's not about logic. It's about emotion, and they sure came with their emotions. Thank you.
Right, so I think. So Malcolm want to speak.
Okay.
Earlier, he was the first, I believe.
Malcolm, go ahead.
Sorry. I kind of find it a little bit ironic that, there are people in that room who are saying that, they're afraid of the changing tides of their community and the possible criminals, when you're also saying here too that you felt scared in the room with people in your own community, right? That's pretty ironic, and to me, it doesn't quite matter whether or not you are for this project or against the project. What matters is that, homeowners aren't just the only people within these communities, right? We have renters. We have a need for affordable housing. We have a need for elderly housing. We have a need to reintroduce people back into our communities, despite the decades of, degradation that's been done towards people of color, right? LGBT people, right? And the need to get them situated. This is about equity and equality. And I don't see that conversation happening. We only speak of these things when we're against something, right? I've been on the board for what, a year now? I haven't really heard any of you say anything about wanting an LD project. The only time it comes up is when these projects pop up. If you really care about these issues, then you have to make it known. And it shouldn't just come to fruition when you're angry, right? If you care, you care at the end of the day. And, you know, Al, you said some things again, you know, we had the same information, right? I've never heard Just Holmes say anything about pedophiles, never heard them say anything about violent criminals, right? We never had that information. That information was never there. I even sourced information from Just Holmes' other projects that has never been a requirement, and it's actually against their rules to do so, right? I've also, you know, we spoke about the two hats thing again, right? And you're telling me once again that you were at that meeting for another association. You're there as a board member, right? And you're also making it that you're also going to vote at this meeting. So I want to know too, are you planning to vote at this meeting despite being tainted?
Derogatory and offensive.
Okay. Malcolm, I was not there as a community board member. You're on the community board. The things that you mentioned, why didn't you bring them up? You can have as much right as anybody else on this board. So don't chastise the rest of the board for not bringing up things about people of color or LGBT community. You could have done the same thing.
Yeah, and
I bring it up a lot, actually. I talk about it a lot. I talk about it a lot.
That discussion at another time.
No, wait. Chairman, because
No, we have to go on to the next. We have to.
then I'm going to file a grievance because that's unacceptable.
Then file a grievance.
And this gentleman on the
Francis,
board.
under what authority are you speaking right now?
I'll put it in writing because we have time.
Nice. Go ahead. Well, you're the Sergeant Arms. Go ahead.
No.
Next.
He's
All right,
hoping, he'll file it another time.
All right, so
Next.
Irene?
Yes.
Sarah?
Okay, you can go.
I am
Sorry.
speaking on behalf of the Mothers Against 1900. We thank you for those who are opposing. We don't want inmates living by 5 schools, our community and residential areas. We have to protect our seniors and our communities. Our goal is to make sure that the people stay informed. We've been getting information from Fortune Society. We've been researching them. We've been going to their buildings in Queens, in Manhattan. We have been dealing with data, and we don't like the data because we don't know what we'll be receiving. They said, according to their numbers, they said that we might be getting people who have sexual offenses committed by tier 1 sex offenders, transporting minors for sexual purposes, intimidation of a victim to engage in an activity, bribing a victim into sexual activity, and the list goes on and on and on and on. My concern is that, have you done your research about what exactly is Just Holmes, like we, the Mothers of 1900, have? We are continuously getting more and more data in, not only from the police department, from mental illness and other organizations. And I can tell you that they are not happy when they come into their communities. We would appreciate it if you stand with the community on behalf of safety, protection, and also for our police. It takes 5 policemen to take down 1 EDP. If a mental illness person is having an issue, it takes 5 men to take them down. And then they can still refuse services from the hospital. So my concern is safety. We don't want them here. And as a minister, we help those who are incarcerated. I've been in the prison ministry. We help them, but this is not the right place for them. I am beseeching all of you to consider that we have to fight for our community, because whatever happens to Indian Village is going to go to Pelham Gardens, Pelham Parkway, Allerton, Bronx Park East, and Venice, and Morris Park. So that is the word from the Mothers of 1900. Thank you.
Thank you. So just a point of clarification, if you want. So there's been a lot of fallout, obviously, right? A lot of, back and forth, internal fighting because of the public hearing. One thing that happened at the public hearing was, so I showed up at 6:30. There was already a line of maybe 25 people outside. Irene had a sign-in sheet. She was having people sign in. So when we started letting people in, they didn't want to sign the community board sign-in sheets because they said, oh, I signed in already. I didn't have time to deal with that. I don't know if Kristen showed up at that point. I think Debbie Pollock was there. So she helped There's a spat between, I guess, them and Irene. Personally, I don't care about the sign-in sheets at this point, but Irene, I am still gonna request for them, so if you could give me a copy of them at some point, I would appreciate it.
The conversation I had with you on Friday was that not to give
this
you
over.
the sign-in sheets, you told me to give you a head count of how many people came in.
Guys,
So
yes.
which one do you want? You
Continue
want the
this
head
meeting 'cause
count
it
or
go
the
on all
copy?
night. Irene, thank you.
Okay, thank you, Irene and Jeremy.
You're
That's good.
welcome.
Just,
Who
people, board members keep asking me for the sign sheet, so
right.
Okay.
at this point, Irene, if I can get a copy of them.
All right. Is there another speaker? Someone else?
Someone else with the hand up.
I see a Kim.
Hi there. Let me see. Start my video. All right. So I'm really sorry. I'm trying to show my video. It's not showing. Oh, there we go. So
Kim.
hi there. So I am I own a house on Seminole actually, and my mom lives across the street in her own house, and my brother lives here, and families of many, many years. I've lived here my entire life. I left for 10 years. I came back. I worked at Jacoby for 10 years as a social worker. At the time I worked at Jacoby, what a great relationship we had. Like I grew up sleigh riding in Jacoby. I grew up playing in the paddleball courts, which probably half of you probably don't know about. The tennis courts, the swimming pool. It was the greatest thing. They had family events while I was working at Jacoby. It was great. And little by little, it started to wither away. And that's a huge concern that I had, that all these things and provisions that we're putting in place are going to wither away. So the primary thing that I have to say is I live right on Seminole, and so does my mom, and so do my neighbors. None of us were really notified about this. None of us. So whoever's saying due diligence and what you said that you had done, I mean, I'm sorry, courtesy, you're making a huge decision for me. And you're voted on there and on there to make the right decision. And to say that you're doing that right now, I need all of you to kind of just close your eyes and reflect a moment. If this was next door to your house that you worked for your entire life, your whole history, everything, is this something you want as for your neighbors? Now, I will tell you, I said at Jacoby as a social worker, 3033 Middletown Road. There's always been a waiting list for elderly. Why not the elderly? It's people in our community. It's people, when I say community, I mean the Bronx. I mean all of us around here. We do need senior housing. This would be a wonderful opportunity for that to take place. And you're really caring about your elders. You know what? They could benefit from the hospitality that the hospital can give to them, the Aging in America on Eastchester Road, so that they can go out during the day and be part of the community and not isolated. So I understand where you're coming from, but you have to really think about our community and what's going on, and think about if it was your house.
Thank you, Kim. Dinah Finch has her hand raised.
Yes, thank you. Community Board 11 has code of conduct. It was not followed at the Just Home public hearing. The result, which you can see on video that's been viewed over 200,000 times in just a few days, was a confrontational atmosphere of threat and violence, further dividing the community the board serves and fostering misinformation about Just Home. I've filed an ethics complaint with CV11 and the Bronx Borough President's Office, as have others.
I don't think you should
Jeremy,
say that publicly.
It's okay. Can you just go ahead?
Well, I'm
Continue.
sorry, I already did. The stated intent of the public hearing was to hear from the public on the Just Home project, yet the meeting seemed engineered to suppress the voices of supporters and boost the volume of the opposition. And aside from the conduct of the public hearing, what I'm most concerned about is that the board and community leaders have been allowed to post inaccurate data, make false accusations, and make exaggerated and untrue statements that go uncorrected. This is one of the most serious breaches by the board. Supporters who registered to speak at the public hearing should be allowed to give their statements uninterrupted to the full board at the next meeting and before any vote is taken on Just Home. Consideration should be given to whether the board is even allowed to hold a vote on the Just Home project, as the entire board's review process has been so mishandled. Finally, the entire board should issue a formal apology to every supporter of Just Home who registered to speak at the hearing, to Health and
Second.
Hospitals, Jacoby Hospital, Fortune Society, and to our entire community for the way the Just Home public hearing was conducted. Thank you.
Is there anybody else from the public who'd like to speak? Now's your
Yes,
chance.
Jeremy, can I
Hey, Bob.
speak? Okay. Are we ready? Can I start?
You can start, Bob.
Okay, first off, the cameraman was not an official media person, and that camera should have been at the back of the room. It was creating a fire hazard. That's number one. Number two, at the Housing Committee meeting in August, we did not have the information that was given out at the September 29th public hearing. And that was only given out hours before that public hearing. There is more information that is being held back from this community board because there is talk now that more buildings will be built on the Jacoby parking lot for future people from Rikers Island or the borough jails. And why can't these people be serviced in the borough jails like they're being serviced in Rikers? Why must Community Board 11 service the whole city of New York with when they only have 1 or 2 people who will be in Just Home? All right. We have 200-seat single men's shelters being built. Level 1 and level 2 sex offenders can be put and probably will be put in those shelters. Okay. Why is the borough president not filled all the seats on Community Board 11? It seems like she's only put on some people who might be in favor of this Just Home project. I know a few who are. Like I said, I am waiting to be put on Board 11. I am the most qualified person to be put on this board, having with my experience, yet people who have never attended a board meeting have been put on Board 11. And that's probably because they're going to vote yes on Just Home.
Seconds.
I know that the borough president may hear this, and I may not get appointed, so I don't care. I want my voice heard. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you, Bob.
Anyone else from the public?
Hello?
Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, okay.
Yes, Lori.
So I wanna back to Diana Finch when she was speaking about, the 2,000 views. Unfortunately, the guy who filmed it only filmed us screaming. He edited it because there had to be like 20-something speakers and maybe about 5 speakers got booed. We did respect when the guy from Fortune spoke. We respected, we weren't as bad as everyone's making us out to be. That's basically what I want to say. I mean, I didn't get booed at. I'm against it. I hope the community board stands, against it with me and the rest of the people in Indian Village and Morris Park. It's literally in my backyard. I have a 78-year-old father and a 77-year-old mother who live here, and they're gonna have to. They want to move. Think of your elderly people that are going to be targeted. And it's not just seriously ill and medically complex. These are going to be pre-trial detainees. I have it in black and white on my email from Joanne Page. That's it.
Okay. Anyone else?
Yes, I'd like to say something, but I'm not from the public. I'm one of the leaders. May I?
Yes, go ahead.
I'd like to bring to everybody's attention an article that just came out. I think it was October 19th. I think that was Wednesday. And it was brought out by the city. And what it discussed was, is there really a housing crisis? And it's an extremely in-depth, detailed article. I urge everybody, I did put it on my timeline. But very large landlords in Manhattan have been holding a lot of rent stabilized apartments hostage, keeping them vacant. And the amount I think is over 500,000. So a lot of what has been sort of manipulated is creating a lot of the pressure of what our borough is going through right now. So is there really a housing crisis? And my question is, if these large landlords that have a lot of property in Manhattan are able to hold hostage vacant and keep their apartments vacant because of whatever loopholes that they have or tax issues, we have to see what all of us are experiencing now. The pressures that people who are for it, who are against it. So I just urge everybody to have an open mind and understand that the one thing about our communities, especially many of us that have been here for decades and decades, we have been taking care of our own. We have been taking care of our children, our schools, our churches, working with communities, giving our volunteer time. So we have been taking care of our own. And with that knowledge comes the need of so many other issues that we have been waiting for. And to have this particular project sort of cut the line and prioritized because maybe of a housing issue that is not even real. So that's my opinion.
Thank you. Anyone else?
And Gino?
Gino.
Yes, yes, thank you, everyone.
You can start. You can start, Gino, anytime.
As Ms. Delgado duly noted in tonight's board meeting, it may be improper to vote on important matters based on outdated information and or lack of current data. With that being said, I then ask if it's proper for the board to vote on the Just Home Initiative when the Fortune Society has failed to provide any current data on the rate of recidivism. The only rates that they have published are from 2018, and surely we can all agree that times have drastically changed since 2018. And this is despite numerous requests made by various community members for updated rates. Why are they failing to respond? What are they trying to hide? This continued theme of a lack of transparency is alarming. How can we expect the Fortune Society to react in the event of an actual emergency? Or is the CEO, Joanne Page, going to throw up her hands in the air and say she's horrified and claim incidents like this never happened, just as she did with the stabbing that took place in Queens earlier this year? And in sticking with Ms. Page, I think it's very important to note that before a recent community board, I believe community board 8, community board 7, she minimized and reduced level 1 sex offenders as mere Romeo and Juliets. How someone in her position can be so dismissive and insensitive to statutory rape is reprehensible. I find it beyond insulting as a father of a young girl. I find it insulting as a human. In addition, Ms. Page failed to mention that level 1 sex offenders are also those convicted of being in possession of child pornography. How can we as a community allow people convicted of these heinous crimes to be within such close proximity to schools, several elementary schools? I find the Fortune Society, their CEO, and anyone supporting this project morally repugnant. Thank you.
Thank you, Gino.
Thanks, Gino.
Mrs. Marinello?
Yes,
You
hello.
ready?
First, Gino, I just want to let you know it was 2008, not 2018. Sorry to correct you, but I just think it's important that people know that it's been almost 20 years.
Thank you, Ms. Marinello.
No, sorry. I wasn't planning on speaking, so I really don't have anything prepared. I just want to note that Fortune, over the past 5 years, collected $133 million in government grants, and they cannot provide us any kind of data on recidivism. And I know some people in the community are saying, other people are trying to paint our community as this is a NIMBY movement or something like that. It has nothing to do with that. We are not opposed to affordable housing, but I think that we should sit down with HHC and come up with a viable solution that we can all agree with and feel safe. This isn't about that. It's about a safety factor. We have 6 elementary schools. It's extremely concerning. And also, Fortune did place a sex offender in a home with 2 young children. So that also is concerning. There's a lot of things about Fortune that a lot of people don't know about yet, but it all will come out. And also, I don't think we can have a vote until we get all of our questions answered. I emailed someone on the board. It took me copying 2 public officials to get a response. I find that extremely upsetting. That's all I have.
Thank you.
Anybody else from the public? Okay, that would conclude the gallery with that.
Oh, wait, I would like to, my hand raising thing is not working.
That's fine. What's your name? Sorry, who's this?
I'm sorry, can I speak?
Who is this?
Who is this?
Lisa Di Tomaso.
Okay, Lisa, ready?
I'm going to take about 15 seconds. My question is
Okay,
for
go ahead.
Jeremy. Jeremy, can we receive or can we gain access to the list of questions that you did submit to Fortune Society? Because I know myself, I know several people who sent many questions and we haven't received any responses. And I would just like to know which questions were sent to Fortune Society and HHC.
So we have a list of questions that were sent to the executive board members. I think Yahe responded to that. I think he wanted to make sure we got every question. I don't know if you happened to, if Oral, Al, you guys looked at the questions that Hazel put together?
Yeah, I saw them.
Is there anything, I mean, I can definitely share that with you. There's no problem with that. I just want to make sure the executive board is comfortable. Veronica, I don't know if you got a chance to look at those yet?
Yeah,
They're very good
questions are good.
The questions are good according to the executive board members. I can share that with you as soon as the meeting's over.
Okay, well, can the entire community gain access to the responses?
Yeah,
Whether
that's
you
like,
are
once I receive it, yes.
whether you are for or against it, we should all be entitled to those answers.
Yeah, nobody's denying that.
Okay.
Thank you. Anyone else? All right, do we have any abstentions? Anyone opposed?
So restate the motion, please, because it's like half an hour ago you made it. You don't mind?
Go ahead, Jeremy.
So it's motion to object to the Just Home Initiative at Jacoby Medical Center.
Correct.
And Yahe stated several reasons, Al stated reasons. Yeah, there are objections to that, but right now the leadership committee members are the ones who are voting. So, so that's just, I don't know if I have to point of order who that is. Everybody knows who that is?
Let's see what we have as far as, let's see, is anyone opposed?
No, I'm not.
I'm not opposed.
I'm sorry, who?
Bernadette.
That's Bernadette. I'm not opposed.
I know, I want those that are, only those that are opposed.
Oh, that are opposed to it. I'm sorry. Yes, I'm opposed to the, yes.
Any abstention?
No, you're in favor of the motion. The motion is to object to Just Home. So yes, you want to object.
Yes
right?
means we're objecting to the motion.
Yes, you're objecting to the project. Right?
So if you're objecting to the project, you're gonna vote yes. Do I have any no votes? And no abstentions? Carries unanimously.
Okay, the motion will go to the full board.
Motion will go to a full board next Thursday for a full board vote.
So it's not been decided yet. Okay. So,
Okay, old business.
well, so this is under the full board agenda right now.
Correct.
So we're currently scheduled to meet at Maestro's. And if we do meet at Maestro's, I'm going to remove this, I'm going to make some edits. Is everyone else muted thing? It's just a remote meeting, so the Pledge of Allegiance. The moment of silence, do I need this red part anymore?
Just to let you know, Jeremy, if we meet at Maestro's next week, I have volunteers from Indian Village that will stand by the door, asking people that come in to please behave themselves and not to call out, give everybody a chance to speak. We will have the police there that will remove anyone, or will try to get them removed if they get too out of hand.
Excellent.
It's the only way, and again, I'm happy with the people from Indian Village who came forward and offered to police themselves, because there's a few, as Hazel pointed out, it's a hot issue. People get very
emotional,
heated up about it, and it was unfortunate that people were booed down. That's not the American way. That's not what we're there about. There's nothing to apologize to the board about, though I firmly don't think the board has anything to apologize for. We did all we could do at the point. We didn't have enough police presence. We didn't have enough members there. There were only 8 of us there, and it was Hazel's meeting. I was there not as a member of the board. Somebody made a comment that something happened outside and board members just walked by it. Well, the person who said that was a board member. Why didn't he do something about it? So I mean, it's nice to throw stones from the cheap seats. You know, get into the ballgame. I'm sorry.
It's all very emotional.
That's, yeah.
So Maestros, there is a remote option. It's not gonna be as nice as this, right? For those who joined remotely last time, the New York City Comptroller plans on joining remotely, which, you know, I'll put the microphone on the speaker.
Jeremy, you said city or state?
New York City Comptroller,
City.
citywide Comptroller, I think his name's Brad Lander, right?
Yeah.
Do we need, you know, this basically Russian aggression, COVID-19, do we need moment of silence for them still? Or, I mean, I don't want to rush over that, but historically, we only do a moment of silence for our fallen first responders, medical and
I
military.
know there's suffering throughout the world.
Yeah, that's good. That's nice.
You know, let's give everybody a
Yeah.
shout out.
So I'll change this last part and to those suffering throughout the world.
That's good.
Okay. Change that. So we only have 2 registered speakers right now. We have Ali Gumas from Department of Sanitation and Bobby Mitchell. September minutes have to be published still. The brochure that Yahya requested, I did put that out there. It's just a draft. Robocalls. Please, we had, so we canceled your meeting. Monday. Ideally, we don't schedule your meeting until we know we have something. We do have a liquor license, I think Maestro's liquor license. So I don't know if we want to put that on the full board agenda. I'll publish it, so it's more than 25 hours in advance.
Why don't we put it on the full board agenda?
Okay. So that's their liquor license, right, Chris? Are you still in the meeting? Chris Kirka? I think Harry got the notice. So we got
That's for my Astros, and I sent it to you, and I sent it to
Joe and Joanne.
Joe and Joanne. Yeah.
All right, so we got 3 motions for leadership: Ryan Lander, Bronx Park, Park East Botanical Garden Ramp, and Just Home. I got to make those. Any other committees that met and vote this month?
Yes, Bernadette.
Education committee.
Education. Yeah, Bernadette voted on something, so it needs to be.
Bernadette, what'd you vote on?
I have to be honest, I do not have my votes in front of me, my notes in front of me. So,
I think the vote was to send a letter to the elected officials requesting community center be built or created within Community Board 11.
Yeah, I think we wanted to commit a roundtable, I believe it was.
So you want to
yes,
have like
yes, I remember the round table. I'm sorry, I'm out of state, and so I'm just don't have all my notes in front of me. But yes,
So
it was
you-
a round table. It was a round table. Yes.
So you'll get back to me with the exact wording for the motion.
Yes, yes, I will.
Ethics disciplinary is meeting Monday, health is meeting Tuesday, public safety is Wednesday, I believe. So if you're a member of those committees, I need agendas like ASAP, right? Because tomorrow's Friday. Sanitation didn't meet, but there's a request for a meeting. I have spoken to the sanitation department regarding that. Your alternate side request, Bernadette. Is there any other committee? Land use, Ken, or if you're in, I know you met. I know they didn't certify it. I think they're supposed to certify on the 24th. So once they do, then I guess we'll schedule a public hearing. If there's anything else to note, again, elected officials, anything else? Full board agenda? Okay. So we can approve it as drafted, amended, or will be amended with Bernadette's motion. Okay?
Yes, yes.
Jeremy,
Yes, Andy.
okay, I want to remind people that we're having a speaker on Tuesday. The health committee, you asked if we would change the date, and they are talking, and they want to make a presentation about health equity, access in the community. So I would, hope people will attend and listen.
Okay.
I think it's an important meeting. And they're also holding other meetings throughout to get information and community input
Yeah,
on
so
how,
basically,
they could get better equity within the community.
yeah,
And
so
I don't
basically,
know about a November meeting. I'm working on it, but I
yeah,
don't
I
have anyone yet.
have to pull up the calendar next. So, yeah, your agenda is pretty simple then, okay?
Yeah.
Let me share the calendar so we can go discuss. We even have it open. I have it open. So, the November calendar, we do have things to, I don't know if we want to have a meeting on All Saints Day, health. I'll just take it off, Sandy, until we know you're gonna have a meeting. It's just easier that
Right.
way.
Yeah, yes, that makes sense. Oh, no, because I attended the ribbon cutting for the new therapy rooms at Burke, and I spoke to someone there. And so they're gonna get back to me. Maybe
Yeah, I
to
don't
talk
think,
about their new the new floors that they have for therapy, for speech, occupational, etc., and physical therapy.
okay, so I don't think, all right, so I'm taking you off the calendar for November. Sanitation, I don't know where April is. Education, Bernadette, the Wednesday, the 2nd in November, or do we?
Yes.
I don't
Yes, that's
remember.
fine. I have to just double check, but I do have a guest. I just have to double check and confirm.
Okay, Housing Committee, Hazel, the first Thursday. Do you have an agenda?
Leave us on the calendar and I'll get back to you.
Okay, sooner
Jeremy,
rather
can you
than-
move the calendar up? I'm only.
Yes, I will, but let me finish with what's here in front of us. And again, I was trying to say, so we cancel economic development. Remember, I brought this up at the last leadership committee meeting, and I need to bring this up at the full board because not the whole membership knows this or remembers this. My current policy, the staff policy, is the robocall goes out the day before, or if it's a Monday meeting, the Friday before at 10 a.m. If you don't get a robocall, that should be your first warning sign that something's amiss. Let alone checking the agenda and seeing if there is an agenda. And then checking in with staff. I know Lisa didn't get a robocall yesterday, so she reached out to me today. No, but yes, there's a meeting tonight, no big deal. We'll correct that. So 10 a.m. the day before, you should get a robocall. If you want to be off the robocall list, fine. But because we had somebody try to show up to a meeting last night.
In the future, if you send that calendar out 2 days ahead of time, this way everybody will come in that night. We don't have to go through all this. It'll save a whole bunch of time.
Yes, but the problem is we have with Joe's committee.
I'm not talking about tonight. I'm talking about in the future. That's
Yeah.
right.
Also, in addition.
This way
to the
people can read it
robocalls-
over and come in and just okay the calendar.
In addition to the robocalls, what we've started doing
That's good.
is send in an email the same day of the meeting or the day before. Jeremy or someone from the staff will send an email. Like Jeremy sent an email yesterday saying you have 2 meetings tomorrow. So that's another thing that,
But also, remember, so if we cancel a meeting, we should also send out a cancellation, which is what we forgot to do. All right, so transportation, Rabbi's not here, Christian's not here. Parks, Lisa. Oh, Rabbi, okay. Do you have it, agenda items for November?
I would say continue what we've done with Bronxdale. Nothing else special besides that.
So, Rabbi, would you be able to hold a town hall on that Monday before your meeting or after your meeting? Not a town hall, a public hearing regarding Bronxdale?
I don't see why.
Okay, so his meeting will be a public hearing, unless he has any other agenda items.
So, or you can just separate them, put 7:30 as the public hearing, and then it's up to him if he wants to cancel the transportation meeting. You can put it as 8 o'clock, and it's his discretion to cancel it or not.
So I'll work it out with him then, okay. So we don't take up too much more time.
Make sure both knows about it.
The biggest thing is Thanksgiving.
Jeremy, how could you have 3
Thanksgiving.
meetings on the 17th? You
That's
have
why
a
we're,
full board, you have a leadership, and you have an executive board.
well, if I
You know
kept
how
the
you,
full board, if you listen, Sandy, I kept the full board where normally is gonna be on Thanksgiving, so I put
Right.
that there.
Very
That's-
good.
So the question is, where do we want the executive board and leadership? Do you want to do it when Lisa
Right,
normally
yeah.
has the parks meeting?
We're
When do we
good
want to
where
do
it
it?
is. We're good where it is.
Same day as the full board? Same time?
What do you-
No, you can't do
No,
the
no,
same.
leadership.
No, I know, that's why we're here.
Oh, I see. Okay.
And judging from the
I mean, I'm
length,
just asking.
can't do it all
We
together.
can have the
either.
full board and the leadership.
So let's pick a different day.
So let's,
Go to 40.
Jeremy, scroll down a little bit more. I want to see where November ends. Okay, so the 29th, Joe Thompson, you're having your 49th Precinct Community Council meeting the 29th? It's the last
No.
Tuesday, right?
No, no, it's always the,
Last Tuesday.
last Tuesday of the
Why
month,
not?
the 29th,
Yeah.
yeah, it would be.
Yep, so what if we did the full board on Tuesday, 22nd?
Or do the full board the 17th and move the leadership and
To the
executive.
14th.
To the
down
month?
to,
Yeah, we did that last year.
down to what? 11, 10, the 10th.
Oh, you know what? I'm away.
Open on the 14th,
I'm away till the 18th.
Have the executive board meeting
Yeah,
on
the
the
country,
10th.
but I'll try.
And we,
Maybe 3 in the
leadership meeting
morning.
on the 10th also.
If it helps, we can not have parks meeting on the 10th. I don't know if that helps, because there's nothing like really, really urgent.
I'll
And
just
that
take
would
it
free
off.
up the 10th.
That'd be great.
When we have the leadership meeting, we'll have to, when we vote on the agenda, we'll have to make a note that the economic development motions will be added later.
Nothing you can.
I'm sorry, say again, Robin?
If we move the leadership meeting to the 10th, when we vote on the agenda, we have to make sure to note that the agenda will be approved after the economic development motions, if there are any.
Yeah, we'll have to add those motions, yes. Which is what we always do, but yes, we should publicly state that. So I'm gonna remove this here. And so, yeah, so 2 Thursdays, I know Yahweh said he can't, he's gonna be away on the 17th. So then I guess that means Al, you'll be acting chair, right?
Well, while we're on it and we're talking about the calendar, I'm going to be away from the 31st of October until the 18th of November. First week is official government travel, then I'm out of the country for 2 weeks, so you're going to be acting for most of November. You're welcome.
I did 30 back up.
Okay, for the rest of it looks fine. I don't know if we're gonna vote on ideally, well, I'll put them on the maestros or whatever. If we don't know if we have anything, should we keep it on? I think we should take it off.
Well, keep it on, you know.
But
If nothing else comes in, it's the end of the year, or have some other people come.
okay. I'm just worried we'll repeat what happened last night. Somebody showed up from your committee. No, I know. No. All right, so we'll keep it on. Unless there's anything else,
We're good. Motion to accept the calendar.
as modified. Okay. Then it's what, new business now?
Well,
We need a
gallery.
second? Gallery session.
Gallery session.
We'll discuss it on the calendar. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Good, we have the calendar. Old business,
The gallery session.
new business.
New
Gallery
business,
session.
and
Gallery session.
We did the gallery session with each,
Go think outside it.
no. We did each one of the things we did. We had the gallery session. Speaking
No,
of.
no, I'm
the things
not
that-
about any of this.
Oh, you have something, to speak- you have something to speak on?
Want to speak about something, you said.
This new business, the new business was dieting later on, or we.
Yeah.
Well, what we usually do is let the gallery session speak before we make a vote, because
Okay.
this way we can hear their point of view,
You got it.
which we did. But now, you know, and Roxanne pointed out, is there anybody who wishes to say anything else?
Jean Marie at the end.
I'm sorry, I just been waiting to discuss the road diet on Bronxdale.
Go ahead.
Okay, so I was just wondering if there's any way, like, we could have a meeting about this, being that we didn't have a public meeting already, and if it's possible, if Dot could be included in this meeting.
Yes, I think, the rabbi is gonna have a town hall on that.
We're gonna try to do that.
All right, we'll hopefully get that information.
We're gonna try to have a meeting next month, man.
Okay.
Public hearing.
Public hearing, so hopefully we get the word out in enough time so everybody will know about it.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
And then I like to say, oh, I'm sorry, let the person go.
Rob?
Try to stand up. Bob?
Ready? Okay. I just want to thank the district manager for sending me the budget priorities for 2023. All 1,304 pages of them from all 59 community boards, since CB 11 is only page 213 through 219. And they look exactly the same as the FY 22 budget priorities, which I'll have to compare. But that means that the budget chair did nothing, and the new budget chair has to see the committee chairs and make sure that she gets from the committee chairs the budget priorities, that they talk to their members, and that they seek out other organizations within their committee. For instance, if it's public safety, you talk to the police department, what they need. For instance, when I spoke to the police department, I got them a new van for their auxiliary police. Okay, I got funding for the library that was being held up. There were things that can be done and that have to be done. It's a pitiful showing that this community board only had 11 capital items and 3 expense items. All right, when other boards are doing 25 and 25 on the average. Okay, that's all I have to say. You need more budget priorities, and especially if you want to change Jacoby, there should have been something in there for the past couple of years to put in that building. Thank you.
So just a reminder for everybody is we whittled them down from 25 or whatever to try to make the focus on ones to make them happen. And since then, the Parks Department has funded not only Zimmerman, but Westchester Playground. That's why we did that.
All right, anyone else?
No one else is.
Oh,
Sure.
I just want to ask a question. So like we keep coming up against the imposition of shelters and things like that. And we have questions from like DHS. And I feel like we never get them answered. And I feel as if we should have a baseline, like actually how many homeless people come from Community Board 11? Why are they homeless? You know, things like that, so that we are being proactive rather than just waiting for somebody to come and say, okay, we want to place all these people here.
So we did ask those questions to DHS. We had a list of questions. As everybody knows, they never got back to us. What they decided to do was cancel the homeless shelter. We never followed up. We felt like for them to say, this is the answer, we're going to cancel it. They didn't answer the questions. So maybe we should follow up and say, while you did cancel it, questions anyway.
They should, because we need to be ready. This is going to happen continuously. This is the philosophy of the city council. So it's going to be a continual push to do this, and we shouldn't be sitting waiting, especially if it's such an important issue for everyone.
It's a disgrace that we have so many homeless in this city. It's just a disgrace. There's got to be something that can be done. This 10 years ago, that wasn't the problem. We have to find a way to stop. And someone would rather live on the streets and be in a shelter. So the shelters aren't a safe place for them to live.
They hate the
Something
shelter.
has to be done to help these people off the street. And it's not the fact that you just throw housing up. If they don't have a foundation, if they don't have a help, if they don't have services, throwing things up in a community, just throwing things in there just to put them in a house doesn't solve the problem of homelessness. You got to give them job training. You got to give them mental health in many cases. You know, drug programs. These things need to be done by the city.
Yeah, the biggest
People shouldn't be living in cardboard boxes.
Yeah, the biggest issue is the mental state of them.
I agree.
I work with the city and we look at homeless shelters and I ask those questions. And some of these shelters do provide training. One person shows up
Yeah, but
out of so many that come and it's just a rather they're addicted to whatever they're addicted to. And And it is an issue in a city like this that we have this in the year 2023. We're still having these issues with addiction, education, mental illness, ADHD. There's so much going on in our communities that we're not addressing at the almost at the elementary school level and also at the parenting level.
Yeah.
And because now you have these kids. I went into this homeless shelter. There's 3 generations of this family that's been homeless.
That's not okay. It's just not okay.
3 generations.
It makes me sick when you know, they say
and
something.
it doesn't make sense. Like her grandmother's homeless, the mother's homeless now. Her daughter is practicing the same, dropped out of school, doesn't go, rather just.
I just wanted to make sure that it's important not to characterize everyone who's in a homeless situation is under those who, as a formerly homeless person.
Oh, absolutely.
I've never been addicted to anything. I've never had any mental health issues, whatever. All of us are one check away.
Right, there's an awful lot of
from
people
being
that
out
don't
of
have
saying the
a
majority.
home.
What
Just
I'm
like,
saying,
because I feel like a lot of people
I know
get
what you're saying,
demonized.
and you're saying that I'm not saying,
It's not everyone.
I'm saying that, no, what I'm saying is that, like, you are fine now.
Yes.
There are people who will not get to where you are because of the issues I just brought up. So you're trying to distance yourself from the issue. That's fine. But the main issue is that there's an issue with mental health, drug abuse, and that's a huge issue because I feel for them. My sister was homeless. Hello. And she had a drug issue.
But this is why I'm asking, I'm sorry, that we should not be sitting and waiting. We should actually get the data and make decisions and recommendations, you all that are on the community board, based on a foundation, a factual foundation, so you do not fall into the trap of having people stop at acting out their emotions. This is it's an ongoing problem. Why do we not address it appropriately? Because maybe most of them probably do have mental and substance abuse. Maybe you would be a smaller percentage of people. We just don't know. That's why I'm saying, ask, let's find out. Let's stop being passive.
Well, I think we've got a pretty good idea of why people are homeless.
I don't know. I don't have the data that says 25% of people, it's because they lost their job. 50% of people, it's because they're have chronic issues, psychiatric. I don't have it. And we cannot make a good decision and a good plan, and especially knowing who is it that comes from Community Board 11, because it isn't fair if we have 5 people becoming homeless from Community Board 11, but we're asked to take. So there's a lot, but you have to start from a foundation of factual information. And that's all I'm saying is, I don't know who on the board is responsible to start doing that. And then there should be follow-up. If DHS does not answer, then all of these people that are getting involved in concern can start writing letters and complaining and saying, listen, we're trying to do our part. We're not getting an appropriate response. Because I don't think the city council and our representation, that they are very sensitive or really care about us. And that's just the bottom line.
Mr. Chairman, if I may, because it's on topic. The real issue is that homelessness, methadone clinic, drug addiction has become big business and people are making a lot of money. They don't want to solve this problem. So until we audit and find out where the money is going, it's going to keep going, because they'll put you in the homeless system. They'll take you out of Brooklyn. They'll put you in the Bronx. And if you're homeless in the Bronx, you're going into Queens. And if you're homeless into Queens, you're going into Staten Island. And if you're homeless in Staten Island, you're going into Manhattan. They're uprooting people. This is systemic. And until you get deep and follow the money, you're going to keep rattling your heads. Because we talk to all the neighbors, and the programs are pricing out our neighbors, so you can't afford it, because they're paying $3,000-$4,000 for a 2-3 bedroom apartment in our neighborhood. So you got to take the system out of it, and the community has to help the community. If your sister, your uncle, your neighbor is homeless, take them in for a little bit, help them get on their feet. If there are-
Sometimes that is not an option.
Absolutely, absolutely, but it should,
Sometimes that
it
is
should
not an
be.
option.
The first, I was homeless too. I was in an abusive relationship many years ago, not with my current spouse.
Yes.
I had to leave the
There
home.
are moments.
I had to leave the place that we moved in together, and I had to sleep in my car in my office for 4 to 5 months until I could find a place because it wasn't safe there. And so I totally get it. And I was in a foreign state of Hawaii where I didn't know everybody there, and getting back home was hard. So it was right out of the military. So there were so many different, and to this gentleman's point, it's right. So it's multifaceted, but if the community works with, you may not have family, you may not have neighbors, but if you come to the community board, and that's why I said many years ago, when you formed the virtual signaling committee, you should have formed a homeless committee to address homelessness and drug addiction. I know it goes under mental health. That's what the answer was given to me.
One of the
and health,
things
but
they blame this community for is we don't have enough of this and we don't have enough of that. But the main reason for that is we take care of we have the wherewithal. The middle class, upper middle class people that live in this community, we have the wherewithal. If my daughter lost her job, rather than be homeless, I would take her in. If my my mother, she'd be 118. If something happened to my mother, I would take her in. We do that here. We have our mothers living in our homes. We have bring our children in. If our children are addicted, we have the wherewithal to be able to send them to a place to get some help. We have the wherewithal to do that, and we're being called names because of it. Oh, look, you don't care. We care. But we take care of our own.
But Al, I couldn't have gone to your house. Okay, that's the point. All right.
So, point of order, I muted everybody online because when you don't hear mic, I don't know if you kept hearing that noise in my ear.
We're done.
So I can unmute everybody, but in the future, because this meeting took way too long, it was a little disorganized. Why don't we discuss items, then open up to the public, right? Keep the 2-minute rule, and then vote after we hear from the public. So
That's what we normally, that's why we did it today. That's why we let the
in the
public
future, in
speak.
the agendas, I will put the motions after the gallery, right?
So the gallery should speak.
Keep it in order.
Can I-
Make a
so,
motion.
can I make my thing?
So Roxanne's next.
Thank you. Again, with Bronxdale, I would like DOT to be present, because we don't want to speak to the board, we want DOT. DOT said they will be present if the 11 calls for the meeting. So I'm not sure if the rabbi is still on, but the district manager continues ignoring my emails regarding Bronxdale. And this has to be addressed, because I'm a constituent of this district. If I send an email, it should be responded, and my emails are very relevant and important. They're not superficial. So, and when you discuss the Murray race, I'd like you to make a point that he's not addressing my emails. He's deliberately ignoring them.
Well, I'd like to- Oh, go ahead, finish, I'm sorry.
And when I was very involved with the Bronxdale, there's a lot of people, they know the Bronxdale road, but they don't know how to navigate through bureaucracy, and they ask me for help. So when I send these emails, I'm not even sending it for me, because people keep reminding, you don't drive, you don't have a license, which is full of it. I'm doing it for behalf of this community, I'm not getting paid for it, so he should at least respond to my emails. please.
Which email?
Several of them, when I asked about the letter,
Our board member said you emailed him 14 times yesterday.
what board member?
Joanne Rubino.
I didn't send her email.
She sent me.
I don't even have her
14
email.
She sent me 14 emails.
I don't even have her email.
Actually, to be honest, it was 20 emails.
Okay.
That's not true.
Roxanne,
Documented.
It's no,
Just
then
to-
send it to me.
just
Send
address
it
the
to
chair,
full
please.
documentation.
I'll send it to Bill.
It doesn't
Okay,
exist.
well, let's
Guys,
keep this.
let's just,
Professional.
All right,
Way for being dysfunctional,
Gotcha.
and you could actually get this manager that could actually function and do so much.
Listen,
I
Roxanne,
criticize lack of performance, I
Sandy,
get
wait.
attacked for it.
no, can I please say something really quick? I'm sorry, I'm gonna log off.
Yeah.
Roxanne's accurate. I had sent so many emails about the same situation and there's no reply ever.
To who?
To CB11, to the other politicians, died. It goes on and on and on, and there's never no answers. And we're not being heard, and this is the problem.
Feel free. I don't know if you've emailed me personally, but I'll check.
No, I have emailed you several times, you ignore
Yes, and
them.
when I need to, I respond.
When you need to, you
I
determine when
do
you
have
need
other
to.
responsibilities.
All right, guys.
Okay.
All right.
I gotta
Motion to
go.
adjourn.
Hold on now.
Thanks, great.
Hello?
I have something very
One more
important.
thing.
Somebody,
We're gonna adjourn the meeting, please, after this.
next week's.
I had something on a new agenda. I wanted to say something and I wasn't
Yeah.
able to speak because I was locked.
Yep.
Okay.
Okay, it's just a new business of this. I just
New
wanted to
business,
point
right.
out, I've been on the board for 14 years. I think there needs to be a little clarification with what where we are governed by the city charter. I think there needs to be more clarification from the borough president's office, because this new item that if you're a board member and you happen to wear many hats and you might be opposed, have an opinion, which is why we vote, that it needs to be more clarification as to why a board member might have to recuse themselves if they actually have an opinion about when we go to vote. As a board member, I'm finding this to be a bit of a new subject. We've had many touchy subjects over the last 14 years that I've been on the board. Never once did it basically come to this point, so there needs to be more clarification. I don't know if there needs to be an ad hoc committee to discuss what the city charter says we are governed by, and to clarify this once and for all, or if it goes to the ethics committee. But I, for one, as a longtime board member, I need clarification. I think other people do also.
Might have to score it again.
There's an easy answer for that, the conflicts of interest board. There's a 212 number, any member of the public can call and speak to the attorney on staff of the day. I've already suggested, I told the ethics chair, I offered to reach out to him, he said, hold off. I'm completely open to doing it. I've done it before, we've had other members.
Good.
So Bernadette, since you have concerns about that, call the conflict of interest office. Describe the situation. When they give you an answer, ask for it in writing. So you have it in writing. And if you choose to exercise your option to speak as a public member and not a community board member, and still have that option to vote, you have something in writing that gives you that option to vote. For the guidance that.
I just need the specifics of who to call.
I'll text it to you.
But just to let you know,
Okay.
just think about it. Everybody who voted tonight, who voted against that now can't vote next week because we voiced our opinion. I mean, that makes no sense.
No, that official community board, that's fine, for the discussion. That's the guidance that I received. Once we get into the discussion part, after the motion has been called, we can voice our opinions, we can just say we don't want it, that's fine. That's the opportunity for us as board members, that's our platform as board members to state our opinions and our objections or support for any project. That's our platform. They don't want us using the media as a platform. They don't want us using other methods. And you know what? If that's the guidance we got from legal, I understand. We are not the public in a way. We are held to different standards and we have to abide by them.
Okay, very good.
Then I have to say that this is the first, this is the first time that I am hearing this from legal. And I have asked Tom Lucania many times about legal, issues, but this is the first time I've ever heard this, that this has been brought to this clarity, so.
I've called that number, Bernadette, I've called that number when the mosque came up to vote. I called that number and they said, you can still vote. But you know what? Just the appearance of it caused me to abstain. Even though I was given something in writing that says I can still vote. That's how I felt. I felt that that's the right thing to do, was just to abstain. Because I was part of that community and I was part of the board. They said it's fine, you can still be part of the Bronx Muslim Center board and you can still vote. And I chose not to. But again, reach out to them. I'd like to see what they tell you. So you'd be doing everybody a favor. But something that I want to bring up, very important, that I spoke with Al yesterday. If the executive order gets extended tomorrow and we have the option to meet remotely next week at the full board meeting, I would like to get everybody's input here, whether we would meet in person or meet remotely. I feel like I would like to meet in person. I don't feel like what happened at the public hearing would carry over into the general board meeting. Some members have concerns. I'd like to hear from the leadership committee, please.
My first inclination was to say I'd rather have it virtual, because this way you didn't have people being interrupted. With the people when the people from Indian Village came forward and said they would police the people coming in the door, I felt that makes them feel more like the community that people will make fool of themselves, or people, I'm assuming, from that community. So if they can police their own, I'd rather have it virtually, because it's nice to have people come together.
In person.
Have it in person. And I'm sorry.
Yeah, I do too. I'd rather have it in person. How about that?
Orals? Oh, sorry, I missed this. I gotta use the oral in person or
In person is fine.
in person, sorry,
In person.
in person? Okay.
Lisa, Ken, Hazel, any member of the leadership committee?
I would like a
I
remote
would-
meeting. Why can't we have a
Both.
We will have, it'll be hybrid. It'll still be hybrid. We're discussing hybrid or fully virtual.
I like a hybrid.
Hybrid.
I would like a hybrid.
Yeah, there's gonna be hybrid like last month. That will be an option, like last month.
I guess we will meet in person next week at Maestro's.
We're not meeting in the same room though, unfortunately.
With
They
a
have-
hybrid,
they
with
have
a
that
hybrid
involved.
setup. He's setting up a hybrid setup. So
Yeah, hybrid.
with a hybrid.
Yeah, with the hybrid.
opportunity.
Yeah.
It's gonna be like last
I
month.
don't like that.
Yeah, we have to have a tour in person first.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'll be there.
Motion to adjourn.
Did you miss
Go.
anything?
I
Second.
second it.
1300.
Time is-
I do.